What's going on, Yarmouth? It's Scott LaFlamme, and I'm here with Town Council Chair Karin Orenstein.
Hi, folks. So in the mail this week, you probably got your valuations from Vision Government Services. And we've heard a lot of concerns and questions about those valuations, and that's why, even though they're setting up for the Clam Festival right outside this window, we want to take some time and get some information out to you.
That's right. And so probably the first logical question is like, why are we even doing this in the first place, right?
Did we have to do a valuation?
And it's a good question. The answer is kind of yeah. So the state of Maine requires that municipalities maintain a just and equal property tax assessment for all taxpayers. And over time, values appreciate and depreciate in different ways, right? Commercial properties may appreciate faster or slower than residential types of houses, all the fun stuff. And so periodically we need to do a revaluation to make sure that they are meet sort of market, what the market sort of dictates the costs are and the value is for different pieces of property.
So when was the last time we did a valuation in town?
Yeah, so our last revaluation was done in 2016. It was a little bit different than what we've got going on. We did a statistical revaluation, which looked at sort of sales data within the last 2 years to help sort of dictate what that market price would be. And so what ends up happening is the state of Maine doesn't like those certified ratios, which means sort of what our values are here locally compared to the market. They don't like that to dip below 70%. And the question is, like, where are we at right now?
Yeah,
right?
where did we get to by not having another revaluation since 2016?
So since then, we've dropped to about 50%. And again, and by statute, the Maine Revenue could require us to do a revaluation after 70%. If not, we'll be penalized and lose out on municipal revenue sharing and state aid education. So there's a lot of sort of reasons why we have to do it. And more than anything, we want to make sure that we tax folks equitably within the community and make sure that folks are paying their fair share. So Karin, you and your fellow councilors worked through the budget for the FY26 budget year, and within that we set a new mill rate. Talk to us a little bit more about that and why that plays a big piece in sort of the conversations at the dinner table.
Sure. So let's start with the fact that that piece of paper that you got with your home property value on it, it's a sticker shock because you've gone from 50% of your home valuation to market rate. So it should be at 100% of the market rate valuation now. But the mill rate is how we determine what your taxes are. So imagine that all of the properties in town are in a pie of all the taxes we need to collect. And everyone should be paying a proportional share based on their property value. So when you get a larger number on your revaluation, it doesn't mean that you're getting a bigger share of that smaller pie. It means that the pie got larger. All the property values rose in town. So we now have to figure out from a larger pie, what is the tax rate for each of those proportions? And so we estimated very conservatively when we did the budgeting this year that the mill rate would come down from that $25 number last year to $15.92. And we are hoping that that number comes further down as well.
Yeah, so this is a bit of an incomplete process at this point. You all have an opportunity to sort of appeal or ask questions about the values that you've received. We're also waiting on some details from some large commercial entities in town, the biggest being Wyman Station. All of that will sort of boil down and impact the final mill rate that will be assessed when we commit taxes later this summer.
Right, and so one thing we also want to warn you about is that property taxes rose higher for residential properties than they did for commercial properties in the last 10 years. And so there is going to be a shifting in that pie of the proportion of commercial properties footing the bill versus the proportion that'll be taxed to residential properties.
Yeah.
But we are not expecting it to be a huge change, and we are still expecting that number to come down from $15.92. We're waiting for that data to come in. As Scott said, we're hoping it'll be in the next week or two, and we will roll out more information as we do have it. We'll give you a new estimate for the mill rate once those commercial property data comes in.
That's a great point. This is still a bit of a work in progress, and again, looking at this sort of through an equation, right? There are multiple variables that need to be put together in order to get the final outcome. And again, we wanted to make sure we got out in front of this quickly and sort of shared as much information as we have, but more will be rolling in, and we'll be sure to share that as quickly as we get it.
So Scott, how do they determine the property values for the revaluation?
Yeah, so again, this is not an arbitrary number. We don't get to pick what we think because you have a nice house. We don't get to do that.
You didn't actually put the numbers in?
That wasn't me.
That wasn't
I promise you guys, it wasn't me. But it is sort of, there's a standards that go into this. So they look at recent sales data. They also look at regional trends. They're looking at all these housing and economic impacts. Things are way beyond our control here. And again, these all sort of get put together and sort of a final valuation is popped out. And I want to just kind of let you know, like, we're not alone in this, right? I mean, I think I mentioned earlier, the southern Maine market has seen a lot of growth and a lot of higher values over the last 10 years. And again, we're just sort of a piece of that. And so our neighbors that are going through similar exercises in Falmouth and North Yarmouth and Gorham and Westbrook, they're all seeing very similar transitions. So again, this isn't a Yarmouth thing. This is really a greater southern Maine question that we're answering. Mm-hmm. So Karin, any silver linings to this process?
There's actually some silver linings. Because we only had 50% property valuations before, and we're now going to be at 100% of market value, the exemptions that are available to people will be at their full value. So for example, the homestead exemption, if you were eligible for it, it would no longer be $12,500 off of your property value. It would be the full $25,000. And the same for veterans exemptions.
Yeah, all of the exemptions, homestead, veterans, solar, wind, whatever else might be available for homeowners. Again, those are tied to our certified ratio. And as those totals go down, so does your benefit. So again, you're going to see a higher value, but you're also going to see the maximum benefit for the exemptions.
So Scott, what if somebody has questions or they even want to appeal the revaluation they received in the mail? What do they do? That's
a good question. And there's an appeals process within this whole program. So Vision Government Solutions, who we partnered with alongside Cumberland County Regional Assessing, outlined their process within the letter that we received. And they're going to be scheduling time for both in-person and phone interviews with residents to kind of talk through their process, hear arguments for maybe reduced values and perhaps adjust their values.
Mm-hmm. Now, there may not be that many times available for in-person appointments, so your best bet may be using the phone line.
Of course, and again, like at Town Hall, we're always here to try to help, but just know that we may not have the answers to your questions.
Or the ability to process an appeal. And the other thing to know about Town Hall, because they've been really terrific about responding to people as they've had questions and concerns, is that they're not going to be open Thursday and Friday of Clam Festival.
We understand that the revaluation process can be confusing and sometimes frustrating, but this process helps us keep compliant with state law to make sure that our tax systems are fair and they're accurate.
Now, you mentioned equity earlier, and we understand that the way that Maine state law works, the state constitution, we are only allowed to collect taxes based on property value. And that is not equitable, and we get that. And so we also want to make sure that you're aware that there is a hardship abatement option available for people to write in and say, I simply can't pay this amount, and to provide the information backing that up.
Yeah, so it's a totally confidential process that's discretionary through the town council. So if you have questions about that, be sure to reach out to me at the town office. We're happy to walk you through that process. But again, as this process goes along and we learn a little bit more information about commercial totals and we really refine that mill rate for FY26, we'll be sure to continue to share information through video, on social media, and through our website. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about what's happened to date, check out yarmouth.me.us/revaluation. There you'll be able to see videos from previous public meetings, the conversation that we've had with the community, and some FAQs on this process and what it means for you. So with that, we hope you have a great Clam Festival. We hope to see you around, and we can't wait to see you next week for the next week's Friday 5. Bye, folks. Have a great weekend.
Bye.